Welcome to your astrological forecast for the week of Tuesday, October 12th through Monday, October 18th. And we do have a couple big things happening this week. So both Jupiter and Mercury actually go direct this week, stationary direct. So that's definitely big. And then also, I found myself repeating myself quite a bit in regards to the energies so much at this time have to do with the reorientation of our perception, especially involving our relationships and our long-term goals and plans. And so that's just something you'll hear me say time and time again throughout this forecast, that it's just such a big area right now that of the focus of the energy. And so that's just something I wanted to mention. So let's start with Tuesday, October 12th. Moon in Capricorn adds some tension and restlessness to the mix as we prepare for Wednesday's quarter moon. Tuesday acts mostly as a foreshadowing of Wednesday, and this is because the moon is already in the sign that it will square the sun in Capricorn. Energy today favors productivity and preparation over rest and relaxation. Yeah, and that's basically it's just having to do with the moon is starting to square the sun, which would already be a restless energy, but it's in the sign of Capricorn, which is very much wanting to be productive and, get some stuff done in terms of long-term productivity, long-term goals, aspirations. So that's generally where the focus is on Tuesday. Now, on Wednesday, October 13th, we begin with a first quarter moon at 20 degrees Capricorn, which occurs only 4 degrees away from Pluto, and Pluto just recently turned direct just last week. So be open at this time to changes in plans and goals, because changes in plans and goals will likely have to be made at this time. These changes may come as a crisis in consciousness, and so openness and adaptability are of the utmost importance right now. So not only with this first quarter moon that's wanting to bring change and to kind of shake things up a bit and shake us up in terms of our long-term goals and plans, but also this is happening within the proximity of Pluto, and so there's an emotional intensity to it, there's a magnetism to it, and so just be open to really having to adapt to these changes involving our resources and our long-term goals. Also the structure, changes in structure. Moon in detriment squaring the sun makes us impatient, anxious, restless, and stressed. There are a lot of, more of the negative or heavy attributes here. But this also makes us more energetic and productive. So that feeling of uncomfortability can be useful if you use it as motivation. That's the silver lining here, that it may be uncomfortable. It's not the most fun or comfortable energy, but it invites us to make change and to work toward a better future, basically. We wouldn't be productive if everything was just sunshine and rainbows all the time. So this is that type of energy here. Venus also sextiles Saturn today, which accentuates our potential to make positive new changes to our goals. And I think this is really beautiful that it happens at the same time as this first quarter moon in Capricorn. Venus making that nice, lovely, harmonious sextile with Saturn just, further accentuates, that's the silver lining here. It's a great time to make some changes and to make sure our beliefs and our goals and our long-term plans are in line with reality, and that we are actively working on achieving them in an environment which is constantly changing. On Thursday, October 14th, Moon enters Aquarius, crossing over Saturn. The background energies of this day lighten up dramatically with the Moon in Aquarius, and we can generally be more relaxed and playful. However, the focus is still largely on realigning goals and plans. So this, I was basically saying, because the energy does definitely shift to air, which is much more light, playful, spontaneous, but at the same time it's still in Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn, and we have Moon crossing over Saturn. So it is more light, more playful, more detached, but it's still very Saturnian. It's still very much focused. We're focusing on the structure of our lives and long-term goals and plans. See, I'm going to keep saying this. Let's see. We may also be working on reallocating our resources. And with the Moon in Aquarius, we now have 6 planets in air, and they're actually all in just Libra and Aquarius. So very much the focus is on these 2 air signs. So this air focus makes us detached and curious, more sociable, but also more strategic. And that's where you have these almost polar sides of these air signs, being we are more sociable, spontaneous, playful, But at the same time, these can be very serious signs as well, very detached and strategic. So we can be more playful in our relationships, more sociable or chatty, but we're also very much thinking about the future and our long-term strategies at this time. On Friday, October 15th, Moon crosses Jupiter as they both trine the Sun at 22 degrees of Aquarius and Libra, respectively. So, in other words, Moon conjunct Jupiter at 22 degrees Aquarius will trine the Sun at 22 degrees Libra. So this aspect lightens up the mood even more dramatically, which is perfect for a Friday. I really love this. So again, the energy still does have to do with, long-term plans and goals. But Moon conjunct Jupiter trining the Sun, it's so light and playful. And so we may be more jovial and upbeat at this time. Energies will continue to focus on strategies and plans, but we also have an opportunity now to relax and have a good time living in the moment, especially with cerebral activities, since the focus is still mainly intellectual. It's still detached, intellectual, mentally oriented. This dynamic is excellent for social events or just time spent with friends. Yeah, I think the perfect embodiment of this energy would be like a party of some sort, but a party at which, it's with people that you very much respect and you have the same worldview, or the same, not worldview, but the same aspirations, or the same goals, or, your goals are aligned. You want the same type of future, or, you want to do the same types of things with your lives in some way. That's what Aquarius is all about, is about the future, about, what are your goals? What are your aspirations? What kind of future life do you want to live in? And so, yes, we can be very playful and spontaneous and quirky, but it's also strategic because it's focused on the future. On Saturday, October 16th, Moon begins its transit through Pisces as we gear up for the Aries full moon next Wednesday. This means that as the moon continues gaining light, we will generally gain more energy and events will become more climactic and eventful. More stuff going on, generally speaking. Mercury sextiles Venus at 10 degrees of Libra and Sagittarius, respectively, and this is excellent for good conversation and social interaction. Really, with the Venus and the Venus-Mercury aspects, they're the best for good conversation, pleasant social interactions. However, Mercury is basically stationary at 10 degrees Libra. It's already at the degree of Libra where it will turn direct, so it's basically stationary at this time. It's not really moving. And this means that our thoughts and communications may be extra serious or impactful at this time. Remember, when planets station, when they aren't moving, it makes them more intense. So Mercury there is making our thoughts and our communications a little bit more intensified. And since Mercury is stationing direct, we are starting to be able to understand and articulate the insight we gained from Mercury's retrograde. Venus also trines Chiron at 10 degrees of Sagittarius and Aries, respectively. And so this fire trine is excellent for building empathy and understanding in new relationships we have formed, or relationships in our life that have recently been renewed or refitted. This new dynamic of empathy and understanding is built on the foundation of us learning to better express ourselves. So yeah, we have these two planets, Venus and Chiron, which are very much about other people, relationships, empathy, how we work with others and communicate with others. But they're in fire signs, though. They're in Sagittarius and Aries, and so it is about, renewing our relationships, and this is so perfect with Mercury stationing direct in Libra at the same time. The focus is very much about how can we better communicate, better understand other people, and have ourselves be understood. And I think the focus is on empathy, but I think part of empathy is communicating yourself as well. You have to, in order to truly feel what someone else is feeling, I think you have to be understood by them as well. And so it's a back and forth. It's a two-way street, I guess you could say. So yeah, I think it is very much having to do with empathy, but it's built on the foundation of us better expressing ourselves. So the empathy can go both ways. That's kind of how I see Venus trining Chiron in the fire signs. On Sunday, October 17th, Moon continues through Pisces and crosses over Neptune. So we are more dreamy and sensitive, but also more outgoing with the Moon so full now. It's very close to being full. Sun at 24 degrees Libra squares the recently turned direct Pluto at 24 degrees Capricorn, potentially triggering a crisis in consciousness. This is sort of an intense, heavy energy. This may be societal or global in focus, and it may be centered around reallocation of resources or changes that must be made to our long-term plans and goals. So yeah, this really shakes up long-term plans and goals, but also how we invest in things. Investments could be financial investments. There would be a shakeup to these things, a crisis, if you will. And this is a brief aspect. The sun transits, it goes about 1 degree per day. And so this is really just mainly applicable towards Sunday, the 17th. On Monday, October 18th, both Jupiter and Mercury turn direct at the same time. That's pretty crazy. Same day. Jupiter turns direct at 22 degrees Aquarius and Mercury at 10 degrees of Libra. We now have all the planets direct with the exceptions of Uranus and Neptune. So we just recently had Saturn and Pluto turn direct, now Mercury and Jupiter. So we have so many planets going direct right now. This means more increased activity both in our personal lives as well as in the world at large for the next several months. So remember with planets going direct, it generally means more stuff happening. When planets are retrograde, there's maybe more activity, intuitively or subconsciously or in the non-physical realms. But when all the planets or most of the planets are direct, things are happening in a very linear, clear way. There's very much physical activity. So there's just generally more activity not only in the world in large scale events but also in our personal lives for the next several months. Mercury turning direct affects our daily rhythm, communications, and our technology. We will now be able to communicate more effectively, and we will be more decisive. We will be more action oriented, especially in terms of our relationships, because Mercury is in Libra after all. We have hopefully gained awareness on our relationships and goals during Mercury's recent retrograde. Now it is time to apply this awareness. And I would say the awareness is mostly having to do with our goals and relationships, but depending on where Libra falls in your chart, this could fall in other aspects of reality as well. So you may just have general increased insight or increased insight on a particular part of your life that you are now more able to apply, or at least that's the sort of ideal interpretation of this transit, I guess you could say. Mercury stationary direct opposes Chiron, I find this so fascinating that this is happening at the same time, that Chiron makes that aspect right when Mercury turns direct. So this highlights this transit's importance regarding our empathy, not only for people in our lives, but also for ourselves. Again, it's a two-way street, and that's what you experience with these Aries-Libra oppositions, especially with Chiron, which rules empathy. We very much need to be heard, but also, let others be heard. Both are equally important. And that's kind of what's coming up right now. We may be extra sensitive and empathetic. Chiron can also make things a little bit awkward, especially with Mercury turning direct and this kind of change in the pace of things. There may be a little bit of dysfunction or awkwardness. I think there's a renewed sense of awareness in terms of how we express ourselves, but I think we're kind of newly embracing this, so there could be a little bit of awkwardness there at the same time, awkwardness applying what we've learned. Our thinking may be extra serious or may pertain toward especially impacting topics. And we also have Mars trining Jupiter at 22 degrees of Libra and Aquarius, respectively. And this triggers extra expansion and growth in our relationships and long-term plans. And again, I'm sounding like a broken record, but there's so much activity happening in Libra, and then, there's multiple parts in the chart kind of pointing toward the same message of, these changes in our goals and relationships. That's really what it comes down to. But yeah, that's generally what I see for the week. So hopefully that was helpful. Definitely stay tuned for next week's forecast, because we do have a full moon happening, next week, and also sun entering Scorpio. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you later.